So the thing is, JD, it looks like we finally have a coach. And now I don't know if I should be happy or sad, glad or dismayed. Well, the plight of the Canadian soccer fan, football fan is interesting because the men's have a coach. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm just happy we have a coach. And we're going to talk about what this means, what our expectations for Copa America are now. Also, what this might mean for the roster, because I think I have something I've seen with a lot of Canadians is the idea of people watching and saying, okay, these many players. I have a take which I think isn't really that hot, but I think it's something that form might be great, but I don't think we're getting that many players. But we'll talk about that here. Welcome to the Africans. We have Mr. Weemax on a Friday evening out there in the great beyond of Europe, keeping sane. I'm hopefully keeping sane. We're here to talk a little bit of CONCACAF football, guys. If you like the content here, make sure you give us a like, comment, and subscribe. All right, you see Sheridan, who's here. Appreciate you being here. We're gonna be here for about an hour's worth of time talking about the men's national team here in Canada, the coach, what this might mean for the roster, Copa expectations. And if we have a little bit of time, we really do want to touch on the men's Olympics because the draw is finally set. So we know which teams are there. Congratulations to Guinea for winning that playoff. So they're going to be there. 4 African teams, just one medal, guys. Just one. It could be bronze. I'm fine with it, but just one medal. I would appreciate that. But let's get to the conversation, which is Jesse Marsch appointed as the men's national team. So far, what we know is that the contract runs until the end of the World Cup that we're hosting here in 2026. We also know that it was partially funded by MLS teams to get that philanthropic aspect, which caused a bit of stir with some people, Canadians, some Americans. I watched a video where someone said they should kick out Canadian teams because Canadian MLS teams gave money to hire a Canadian coach from an American league. Into that, I'm like, uh, I love you, YouTube. Don't ever change, please. Don't ever change. YouTube and Twitter, just don't ever change, please. But it's interesting, JD, and I brought you here because I want to get your perspective from this as the outsider looking in, the man of the islands in CONCACAF. When you see the name Jesse Marsch brought in for Canada, what do you think? Do you think that's a good fit from the outside looking in? I mean, I'll give you my thoughts as well, but from your perspective, the outside looking in, is this the best fit for coach and talent that you see here in Canada?
All right, first I have to say thanks, everyone, for joining us, and thanks for having me, Africans. It's a pleasure talking about something aside from um, the two, three things in the Jamaica space, you know. So yeah, man, I saw the news and I saw Tactical making fun of it, saying that obviously, you know, he's going to put on the Canadian every
Oh, of
single time
course.
he gets that. That's a statical manager, you know. He's going to do something like that. But what I've looked at his system that he plays. And I'm saying that you have to do some conversion or people will have to compromise because even the other day we were talking about Tenak for Manchester United. And
Mhm.
I do believe that it's the ability to figure things out on the fly and to compromise. Both
Mhm.
that's what I think it's going to come down for Canada because his system is the 4-2-3-1 and Canada look like they're playing better with a back three at this point or for a while. But Canada proved that maybe the back three actually fits them a little bit better, you know. So let's see. But I do believe that I saw he plays with the high energy. I do think that most of your players kind of require that
Mhm.
level of detail. All right. Yes. So I think he could get something out of them, but I think both of them have to decide that they want to work with each other, or else it's not going to work because his system is a little bit different from what I am seeing the Canadians getting good results from. So,
You
and
know,
I
I
do believe
yeah.
that they talked to him, they spoke to him before he came in. So I guess he has to improvise some way and get things going. So I kind of think it could work. He's familiar with the region, 100%. He's American.
Mhm.
You understand me? And maybe this is the man to take them over America. You never may know. The sadly, I'm not jumping to anything. I'm just saying
Alright.
sadly, um, they don't have any qualifiers to beat the Americans again because they had beaten the Americans. All right, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's a fair point, and I think for me, the conversation with Marsh is, I think there are benefits you can see, right? A high pressing team, maybe not to the extent he takes it to the extreme with his pressing, but you look at the players that Canada has access to, from your Buchanans, your Davies, your Jonathan Davids. Those are players who are built effectively for that. If you were going to play that type of system, it's built for that. The back three conversation is more to me a question about depth than it is necessarily quality, because there's more depth I think in center backs for Canada than there are, say, in quality fullbacks, right? Larea is still out. Atakubi just came back. Like I think there's a low key conversation in Canada where it's our the most concerning piece is fullbacks. We don't really have fullback depth, and we saw what our depth was. We had two injuries, and then
Uh,
our fullback depth was Johnston and Davies, and then there was nothing else. I think it's a fair conversation to have in terms of where you can find players, but I think everywhere else around the pitch, maybe you can add midfield as well as emerging as another emerging problem. You have maybe a solid three, but maybe four and a half. But
and that's a question that I was actually about to ask you.
yeah,
What you think? You think that both parties have to improvise, or
I,
you think that he's going to start off with his system? And how would you feel that roster? Like, oh, not starting squad. Oh, you'd have looked at it. Oh, you would have used at the back four, if that's
if
the case.
if you went with a back four based off of
Mm-hmm.
players that they have, I would go across the back. I would go Alistair Johnston, who's at Celtic. I'd go at
Yes, yes.
Colorado right now in the MLS. I go Derek
Mm-hmm.
Cornelius,
Cornelius.
and then I would go Davies. I would put Davies still as a fullback,
And
just
as a fullback.
because. Yeah,
And maybe you will fix the front players now, because now Adekobu would have gotten his game. David would have gone to his right place. Kyle Larin would have gone to his right place. So maybe you're thinking that's how it should go now. And
I
okay,
don't think
okay, okay.
and we'll get to this. We'll get to this. I don't think Laren, like, I think short term Laren has a role on this team, but if they're going to be playing, if we're looking at Marsh based off how he's played, and I know we pulled up his statistics and things, usually a four
Hmm.
two three one, which I think fits. I don't think Laren starts, and Paul just jumped in here and says if you're trying to have a pressing team, I don't think Laren starts.
Okay, okay.
I think you bring Laren off the bench if you want to go two strikers up top, and then you go there. And I think that's the conversation that we aren't really paying attention for Canada. I don't think there's a lot of striker positions left now. If we're going with how Marsh plays, I think he carries three, max four. I think he carries four when he goes to Copa just because he has the three extra spots for that. So if you're, I think he's gonna invest more into fullback and then wingbacks or wingers versus strikers, which means you're at Jonathan David, Kyle Laren, and then Ugbo, Bear, Russell
Okay.
Rowe. They're
Hmm.
all fighting in my how I see it. They're all fighting for that one spot, and that's not even talking about like the Tamio Luasi who's playing in Minnesota. I mean, Jebison just started training again. He hasn't decided where his future is. He's a player we've been talking about for Canada. Hopefully, he turns up. I don't think there's a lot of rooms for strikers for him. So, and if that's the case, I think because the last roster they brought to for Trinidad, that was five strikers that they brought in because that was
Hmm.
those three, those four plus Russell Rowe and then Ugbo Bear. I don't think he relies on five strikers because you need people who are going to be playing more high energy.
So,
So I think,
so would it not be good for you to bring up like FM data, so we could like fit something so people could see exactly, oh, you think it would have worked out if you want to
yeah,
do so,
yeah,
because
let's
it
do
would have had the players inside it, so I could look at it properly. Because the last time I saw that they used the 4-4-2 in the last coach's system, and then they tried to bring over one in midfield to make it a three in their transition. So I would love to see how this would have worked out now, so I can see how strong it is. Because we can name players all day, but will it be as effective as what we saw the last time? They played Jamaica the last time, and if they never lost concentration, maybe they would have qualified before. You understand me? It's not like they were
Mm.
outplayed or outcoached by the other coach. You understand me? I just believe that they overlooked Jamaica in the second leg, to be honest. And the Trinidad game, they had enough chances, at least to the build-up phase. I thought that the connection was not there, when they reached the final third. You can see that the poor passing and the poor running and understanding there. But that takes time. But I don't know. I think you guys have to give him time and let him keep on working. Don't just jump to throw him off the boat so easy.
I don't think we're gonna do that mainly because I think we're looking at this from the standpoint of he's going to be here for until the World Cup. Like barring a calamity, he's going to be here for the World Cup. So he knows, first of all, he has a lovely setup of games that put kids and put players into the fire. You're playing Netherlands, France, then Argentina, Peru, Chile. If they make it out of that group, a few more games, then Mexico, and then probably the US. Right? That is a gauntlet that has been a gauntlet. And I'd rather have it that way. Even if they lose every game here 6-0, I'd rather say, okay, what have we learned? What have we learned? What have we learned? If you keep playing the same thing out, if we find out, and I'm not trying to pick on this player, but if we find out, say, Kamal Miller can't play against top position, we find that out. Then we move on to someone else. If we find out that, say, Kone is better suited as more of a 10 than an 8 or a deep playmaker, fine. If you discover Estacio is better suited in how you want to play further up the pitch than behind, learn stuff. I still am looking at this year from the standpoint of what are we learning? Do I want results? Of course, I want results, but I want to know what we are learning ultimately, and that's what's going to make things a little bit easier for me. Just kind of evaluate because that's all I can really do. I can only really evaluate the team and then what they're
But
doing
but
there.
but
So
but based off qualification, Africans and experience, I would not
mhm,
say it's a bad jump just off the name, because he's used
mhm,
to the region, he has a high qualification, and he has enough
yeah.
experience for me to trust him. So those are the three areas. Let's see if he can get all of those three areas working with the team. But based on face value, I think he's qualified more than a lot of other people. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to jump and act like Tactical and those guys. I think he has everything so far. But let's see if it can translate
I,
into success.
no, and I agree with you there. I think he has of the players there, of the coaches there, from a CONCACAF standpoint, he had the best resume. From
Hmm.
the CONCACAF options. Again, I'm on record saying I wanted Hugo Perez just because I felt he squeezed a lot out of El Salvador. So I thought he could, if you give him more talent, I think he could do a lot. But I had no issues with that. So with him coming in, you saw what he did. Some people would say you love what he did at Salzburg. Once he got to Red Bull, then Leeds, there are questions. I think that's a fair point, especially the Red Bull point, because that position was tailor made for him, right? He moved up the ranks with Red Bull, and then he landed there. Everything was prepped for him, and things didn't go well, and that's fine. And that's a fair knock to have against him. Leeds, I mean, who do you want to talk to and say, hey, was he sacked too early? Was it not? That's up to you. That was a team where the metrics said they were on the right track, but on the pitching were getting results. So do things just average out? It's like a sport where you're getting for expected goals, you're not getting the saves you need, but then eventually you will get the saves if you keep the mentality going with the expected goals and whatnot. So I don't worry about it as much. I know there's the ticker, there's the high sticker of like it's the American coach now who clearly has issues with the Americans coach, and it's like all that stuff. Yes, everything that they say off the pitch as a Canadian, there's a bit of PTSD. Look,
Hmm.
Herdman's comments at the World Cup, rightly or wrongly, are a moment where some people either loved it and said, "Hey, he's speaking raw," and for other people, it was, "Hey." This is professional. This is at the higher level, and that's something that people haven't let go from him since. So I'm not as worried with it. Again, I'm like
Hmm.
you. I want to wait and see how it looks. But for me, I like the conversation in terms of what we can come through. I'm going to go through the comments here. Um,
Yeah.
and we're kind of go through there and then kind of take a look at everything in the private chat and whatnot. So Sheridan is here. Good to see you, sir. Appreciate that you being here. Paul Anderson. telling us Laren doesn't start at all. I I I think base if he's going to play pressing like you said, Paul, I think that's the case. So that's how it would go. In the know, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well as well. And then Sam Bowen, I see you here. Yes, JD is here as well. So we
Bless up,
appreciate that.
everyone.
Perfect. Appreciate that. So I think it's an interesting conversation in terms of where you go from there. And let's try to kind of build it out from what it is. Because I think
Yeah.
ultimately, like I said, when it was first announced, I think my first point was I think the most interesting position group for Canada now are the wingers, right? I think
Yes.
those wide players and everything happened well. I mean, Davey scores a banger of a goal in the semifinals of the Champions League, only to lose in the most. I mean that game
Well,
is the season in a
as
nutshell.
you know, all the teams this season was destined to lose against the teams that VAR and the referee favors. But as you know, I am always bad minded refs, so I will not talk. All right, so continue, sir. Sorry about that.
They blew it too soon, Jade. They blew the whistle too soon. But
Well, it
regardless,
was designed. It was designed. I am not going to say anything, but I think it was designed. Yeah.
the only thing I would add to that is in an era where you leave things that are clearly blatant and off, and this is what happens. It's like, well, then what's the point of having it, right? If VAR is just so you can check to make sure if you make a mistake, that was the most clear example of the hey, let's let everything play out. And if he's offside still, hey, you check it, he's off, you move on. But you kill the
Well,
play
as you know,
before, and that's what it
Real
is.
Madrid spend a lot of money. All of these teams spend a lot of money. So um,
Mhm.
people that own clubs cannot get the edge over the people that spends a lot of money. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah. But I am not going to talk. I'm just going to stay on the topic, which is the Canadians, which I'm really invested in. Yeah.
I appreciate that you are invested in it. I do as well. I know I saw Sam's
Because
little
I
comment there,
want
and
to see
that's
how this works out. I want to see if he's going to change the way. I know my reason why I want to see how fast he's going to change these things. I'm not going to talk here, but I know I just want to see if how long this man is going to improve on what I saw him doing, and then I will learn how fast it take for someone to adjust their system. Because I've heard
yeah.
over the years that you need how much windows and you need more time with the players them like as if like you own a club. It's an international
Mhm.
football. So I want to see how long Mr. Marsh will change up the system and how fast it will start take effect. Yeah. Which I fully expect
No,
Africans to start taking effect very fast. Believe me.
I think he's tailor made to step in. I don't want to come in and say immediately, hey, I think this person now. I think Marsh now comes in and starts and gets results immediately. If that happens, I mean, I'm still going to be the person who says like Marsh could win his games against the Netherlands and France. I'm still going to say I need to see more. Right? I am looking at this year as pure evaluation, just mainly
Yeah,
because I have nothing.
Netherlands and France. That's it, sir? That's what you said?
If
The wins.
yeah, those are their friendlies. I don't see it
Just take the
happening,
wins.
JD.
Just take the wins out and just say the good performances. Decent performances. Just
Indeed,
take the wins
indeed.
away. Yes, this wins that you're talking about. I am not going to agree. I am not going to go on that bandwagon, sir. I was talking
I'm
about
just saying.
the minor tiny teams. Like the big CONCACAF competitions. I don't know what you
Mhm.
talking about.
Listen, I got friendlies first, JD. So that's what I'm saying. Hey, I'm just gonna say from here, let's go and let's talk. But let's talk about there. So again, we'll get the football manager up here, but this is the last squad that was brought in for Trinidad. The Trinidad game. You
Hmm.
have I've just put everything in alphabetical in a number order. So Dane Sinclair, goalkeeper, Alistair Johnson, Luke de Fougerolles. I think he's a player who you could see him come in, but at the same time, I could see him just giving them maybe he call him in for the friendlies, but then not the Copa, but it's the Copa America. Why not?
Hmm.
Because they have the U20s coming up as well. So I could see them maybe giving that tournament off and then getting him ready to captain the U20s or something like that. Kamal
Yeah,
Miller, Joel
really?
Waterman.
Okay.
I I could see it. I could see it, but we'll see how it goes. Waterman, Piet. Sam Piet is a player who I understand the call is why you don't want him on the side, but Canada doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
any sixes. We just don't.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think Canada is that good for to leave him out. Even if he has to go on the bench, I think
Mhm,
he will bring that experience to the squad. Because remember, just like they have to adjust to the coach's system, you need players that can put get the coach comfortable in his first stint there. You need that as well, to get his point across. So some of the players, they might not be the players to go to the World Cup, but they're the ones for the transition period to
mhm,
get things done. So you pass it on to the next score, which maybe the talented players that are harder to grasp things. So I think Piet will be one of those guys that will bring that information over a little bit faster. I don't know why you guys don't respect him still, Are not you in Africans, but majority
yeah,
of the
but
Canadians them
overall,
talk lowly of him.
the thing is he's a player, he's playing consistently. You say what you want, love or hate the MLS. It's a level that you've seen competent players come from, so I don't hate the idea. We just don't have any other sixes, right? We don't have any other sixes, and I think that's a conversation where it's every new duel you hear, it's like, oh, it's a striker, it's a winger, it's a this. It's like, find me a six. If someone could, if you told me Lucas Poss, the Swiss who just changed his citizenship, if he can play six, bring him in. I have no issues with that. But that's why they were trying to make Bombito a six, because
Okay,
he
okay.
has the traits to do it. But I think he's much better in that center back role. But then, I mean, Eustachio, Kone, those aren't leaving. Laren, I think he'll still be on the squad. I don't know if he has a spot starting per se, but we'll see. Uh, David, Theo,
I,
Bear, and Ugbo. This is the conversation to me. Like, I think if you take these two out, and it has nothing to do with they're not good. They both had good seasons this year, but
yeah, yeah.
give me
You
some
don't
more
think that
winger
Ugbo?
depth.
You don't think that Ugbo, um, just he cements himself as maybe the backup striker for Kyle Lowry, for that Jonathan David?
I think is more Ugbo can profile sometimes more like a Laren, and the same thing as a Bear.
Yes, yes.
Whereas
I
they
know.
don't
But
need, yeah.
But
So
he
they
can
don't
play as a
have this
striker as well, yeah, because I saw him for Sheffield actually it's
Wednesday.
heating
Yeah.
Sheffield up. Yes.
Yep. When Bailey wasn't scoring. Yeah, I agree. I remember
Yes.
that.
So we have to just realize that these guys are multi-talented. So
As nines, I agree. I think they can
hmm
fit well as nine. If you were playing with two, that justifies having three, four, five there. But I think with Marsh, I think you might max out at four for him, which means it's a conversation between, because that other who profiles similar to a John, right? Who's that, like, kind of back press, but then move forward and go that way? That's the conversation. I think that's more Jason Russell Rowe than it is Bear and Ugbo. Nothing against,
okay,
it's just how their
okay.
profile sits. And if that's the case,
E- e-
then you're looking at more so conversation. Yeah.
we're getting a sound through Africans. We're getting a sound like a music.
Yeah.
So maybe some
I just
ads
started,
playing or
yo,
something.
I didn't mute. Yeah. Let me fix that
Yeah.
here. I didn't turn
I,
off
I
the
think you people could still see both of them in the team because remember they still play wide wingers as well. Like they play supporting roles, so they can play in
Mhm,
the left and right wing channels or the attacking midfielder channels as well. So I think I think you guys are
mhm.
too fast to get rid of them. If I should say so, you know, because they are
And,
multi
and get me wrong,
they're
I'm not
multi
trying to,
talented.
yeah, they are multi-talented, but in a system where you're assuming there's going to be some degree of pressure and pressing,
Mm-hmm.
you need more
Mm-hmm.
active wingers there. And that's
Okay.
not to say that
Okay.
they don't. It's not that we're giving up on them. It's saying, if I'm trying to build this like for like, in as
Mm-hmm.
best as we can envision it, the roster, literally, if you look at the roster that they brought, it was your wingers were Schaffelberg, who scored, Davies, Tejan, and then Liam Miller. That was your wide play. right? And then you
Yep.
had
What
Russell Rowe who can play out wide, but I think his profile fits better as a hey, if you don't have Jonathan David, you put in Russell Rowe. I think that's the better fit for that.
okay,
But
okay.
you don't
And
need
you
as
think,
many strikers there. Yeah.
but you think he use a wide winger in the 3-4-2-1, or a two more left and right attacking midfielder with a central midfielder? Because I think they kept it a little bit more narrow. So those guys can
Mhm.
function as more central forwards as well. So that's what I'm asking still,
Yeah.
because I understand what you're saying. We you should free up the spots to get more wingers in, natural wingers to get width. That is definitely true. But at the same time, I just believe that both of them cannot be off the team. I think Ugbo or Lauren should be on it, and I would go with the younger one, which is Ugbo. So at least, so
Mhm.
who would your class as your best strikers, like your natural best strikers?
I think in terms of everything, I go David, Laren,
Hmm.
then Ugbo. That's my top three.
Okay. Okay, all right. So finish it then. With three strikers on the list.
Yeah.
Lauren comes out because he's older and he might not give you the energy, but Ubo can be a replacement for David if something goes wrong with David and he's tired or something not working, because Ubo is more physical, you know.
Mhm.
David is tricky physicality, you know, but Ugbo, I think he has not gotten the respect in the CONCACAF as yet. But the player is a solid player because I've been watching him a lot of the games. As you said, I was watching to see if Kadamati would have gotten some game time. And when I looked on, it's him I see tearing up the place. And he's scoring and performing good against quality teams in and around
Mhm.
the world, not just the CONCACAF or the championship. So I think that he's in a better form. And I would swap out one of them, not two, and then put a winger with that, and then now you have the others, because you do have other wingers naturally there. You know,
Yeah.
Buchanan is there as a natural winger. Yes, so
Yeah.
you would add one more winger with that, and you still have other wingers there as well. So I
Mhm.
think that it's nice. It's nice, but I'm just looking. My biggest problem is just the centre back and the full backs. Then for me, and you said you'd have drop Alfonso Davis down there. You know.
Yeah, I would go because I think if you want to play up I think the conversation is can Canada survive with three in the mid with three or two in the midfield? Because I think if you want to try to keep a back three, then you play with a two-man midfield. You put Davies and Johnson as your wing backs. You put Tajon up right, and then you put another winger up left, probably Liam Miller or Schaffelberg, depending on how their season's going. And then you play through David, and then you're good. But if they feel like they need to have a three-player midfield, in that case, the 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, you can still pull it off. You're still just playing through one winger. You're still playing through one striker ultimately. And I think that's where the conversation will be interesting for me because in terms of winger depth. Outside of that, there are three names, I think, and I said it in the video, that short video I put out reacting to
Mm-hmm.
Marsh. I think the three interesting names for Canada are Jaden Nelson, who's
J.D.
playing in
Nelson.
yes, I'll pull up all three players in a minute here. Jaden Nelson, Theo Corbianu, who's playing in La Liga, and
Corbiano.
then
Yeah.
yes, and then it's a bit more of a dream, but I think maybe you make another rung at Luka Koleosha, who Burnley, who's injured, rehabbing to get back right now. But he's the he has many nations. He can play for Spain because of residency, Italy because of birth, Nigeria because of citizenship,
Oh
Canada because of
Lord.
citizenship, and then the States. So
Okay. Okay.
And I think if you're gonna make a run at him, you get him. You try to get him now, and then if that's the case, then you cement Davies as a left back. Just because I think, and this is the conversation. I mean, Josh will always have this point, and it's true. Davies is better further up the pitch. No one is denying that, but I think ultimately, based off of what the depth chart is, I think you can get. I think you can find wingers who can play well. But if you don't have fullbacks or wingbacks, then you're kind of stuck in the middle. So I think if you put Davies back there, that solves your fullback position with him and Johnston, and then you can find the best wingers, the wingers who are playing the best, the most lively, those ones, and plus you still have each player who are willing to push up if they want to or not. But I think that would be what I would do. But I'm seeing you. I see you, Paul. I am seeing you. So let's get to some of these comments that are there. Samboan says France and Netherlands are world beaters. So if he wins those, that's enough to think he can do things. I mean, in theory, yes, but it's a point of I'm not going to get carried away regardless of what he does because I everything preparation is here for the World Cup, right? We saw the U.S. missed the World Cup in 2018, then beat France, and then people thought, oh, this team could be something. It was a totally different team by that time. I know they're getting ready for the Euros, so I am not necessarily counting anything out, but it's more about systems and flows and plays and patterns of play for me that matter versus everything else. And then Bombito, Cornelius Johnson as three center backs. Paul still wants to go a back three. That is
Mm-hmm.
fine. See that. Dark Beskard, good to see you as well. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Hush
So,
Puppy.
so
Yeah.
Larry, how would you look at Larry? What would you do with him? You'd have put him in the team or not? Because if
I
he's
mean,
in the
right now
team,
he's not back. He's
okay,
not playing, so I've not counted him in. And
okay, good, good.
one of my controversial takes is it's not that he's not a good player, but you need to start to look for a replacement for him. Not to say that he's going to break down, but you'd rather have an option versus saying having nothing, which is why I think Davies as a fullback solves that at least a bit. Because worst case scenario, you have Adekudbi, you have Larea there, and then maybe wherever the Fujirel goes, he's been playing center back, but if he pops out wide, that's an option for him. And then you're looking at the U20s and or any duels that you can get into the program right before the World Cup because hey, they're at the World Cup. So Lorea, I'm not counting because he is still rehabbing and not back, but still getting in fights, which I appreciate. The Ghanaian rage is real. But I think for him, Lorea, I didn't count him because he wasn't fit. And that's where the right now I think only Adekudbi is of their fullbacks are playing, and even Adekudbi is playing in an advanced position. Adekudbi is playing as a winger for Vancouver in the MLS. So
Mm-hmm.
like we don't really have the fullback depth as it stands. So I would put Davies back there, and I would almost play it
Or
as if, yeah,
or they have to compromise. Stay with the same
fair.
three because three is the way to go. You have enough center backs that can play the position. Then you have wing backs. You have wingers that can deploy in that position, and then you have your strikers that obviously maybe you said some of them they are age, but I still believe that gives you the best balance. So I think they have to compromise. That's how it's going to go at this point. I think that's the only way because you
No,
can't.
and I think
And
that's gonna be
so
the
he's gonna work from. He's so Africans. I think he's gonna work from where it is now. Go back to what he wants, which is his system. So work a person into playing that
Mhm.
fullback role, and once you get enough fullbacks, because you can't just use two fullbacks only, and then you don't have any substitution.
No, that's fair.
It is tough. All I know, it is
Like,
tough, Africans. Tough. I don't want to see it against France or the Netherlands. That's all I'm
woo.
going to tell you. So yeah, I'm going to have to watch and with my pen and paper. Okay, all right then. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. That need 5 months. That needs 6 months. Oh God, Canada ain't in the top 10 right now.
No, no, no.
Well,
We are a solid top 50, and we are proud of that.
I have not said anything like that, African. So don't put anything on me. I've just
Oh no, no, no,
said
no.
I'm gonna take data.
I said
I'm
it.
gonna take data. I'm gonna take
take,
data.
take,
Your
take the
team
data,
has a lot
JD.
of talent,
Take the
but I
data.
have to see it work out. A lot of talent need time to fix. All right, that's all I know. But
Mm.
let me see. They have some good competition though to see how they can work out things, and I think it might just help them at the Copa situation, right? It might just help them
Mhm.
because playing these tougher teams can set you up for a big rebound. Cause well, let's see still. But go ahead.
No, and I think that's fair. I mean, this is why I liked this lineup of. I know we always have this conversation is why do you want to play the big teams? Because I need to know, and I need the players to know there are levels to this, right? Like those players. So the pass you can get away with in Concacaf, you can't necessarily get away with it in UEFA or 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 maybe Asia or even Africa, right? So it's like you have to start to think, and that's what you see, and that's like when you. It's basically a player going from a lower league to a higher league, and then they have to adjust to the speed. And I think playing those two games, realizing, hey, you have to adjust to the speed, you have to move faster. I think that prepares you better for the Copa America than say if they went and played with all due respect, like if they went and said, "Hey, let's go play Dominica and Bermuda." With all due respect to
Yeah,
those
yeah.
countries, you're
False
not
sense
playing
of
at the same
security.
pace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
false sense. Yeah, yeah. You don't want. Yeah, for real. Because you have to look at what your objectives are. You're already in the World Cup, so you don't have to qualify for nothing. So that
yeah,
can be a bad thing as well, because you don't get enough games under your belt. To prepare for that
agreed.
World Cup as well, and that's a good question that I need to ask. Oh, prepare. Oh, impactful that could be when you don't qualify for the World Cup. To get ready for the World Cup.
I
That
think
is.
it does, yeah. It ultimately comes down to what you can do. Like the gauntlet that they're giving themselves this year is the best preparation you could ask for. You have
Okay.
top teams playing friendlies. Your friendlies so far confirmed are the Netherlands, France, Mexico, and we're all but certain the US in that September window or that October window before Nations League semifinals happen. Right. So, and then outside of Copa America, what else could you be asking for? I don't know. Right. So I think for me, this is the best lineup of teams that they could play. And then it comes down to next year, you have the Gold Cup, which I think everyone will be bringing their A teams for the Gold Cup. So you're going to have a good US side, you're going to have a good Mexican side. You'll have your other teams and players who are there. I think it'll be best on best for that. And then you have more friendlies moving up. I think in terms of the games they have set up right now, they're in the best position to really evaluate this team, this talent. The concern is how big is the pool? Like, and that's the one concern, right? You have a
And
new coach coming in who has an idea of how they want to play, but then he's walking into an environment where for us, I'll ask it this way. Not to say that Jesse Marsch is a higher standard than Herdman, but are we as fans ready for the conversation that says, are we at the standard that this coach needs? Not to say that the previous wasn't good, but is the standard of play what this coach needs, or do we need to go higher? Right. And it's nothing against, I'm not trying to put anything on the MLS. MLS is a good league. But is Marsh going to walk in? He's familiar with the MLS, but he's going to walk in and say, for what I want to do, I need players playing here. That was one of the things with Herdman and Priestman does with the women's as well. They're tier one leagues. You want all your players playing at top leagues because that's where the best competition is. That's what you're seeing with some of the women. That's why a lot of the Canadian women are either saying, hey, let me get to the WSL in England, let me get to the D Arcanas in France, or let me go back to the NWSL because that is considered tier one league and there'll be more eyes. Therefore, if I'm seen there and I can play there, that will work. I wonder how Marsh walks into this because again, we look at Marsh as the MLS coach from Montreal, the MLS coach from New York Red Bull. He's also he's also a, a Red Bull coach at two stints, and he also coached at in the Premier League. However successful that was, he still coached there. Is
I,
his
I,
standard
I,
of what his is his standard of what he wants in players at another level than what we are adjusted and used to? And is that going to be a bit of a shock to our system when we walk in and think, you know what, this player who's playing here can play well, and Marsh will say, no, I need someone there. I'd rather have
and
the guy who's in
Africans,
Europe.
we have to not forget, them. I saw him played some matches, man. Like
Mhm.
against Arsenal and those teams, and he dominated off, against top level teams, So if he can get it right, in the CONCACAF with these quality players, you never. Oh my God, man! I saw. I don't remember. I don't even remember before he got fired. I think it was the second half of a game, and I don't know how Arsenal Leeds lost that game against Arsenal. I don't know how
Mhm.
that's possible because they created chances after chances, closed down Arsenal, suffocated them, and Arsenal is one of the most technical teams. So if he can pull off that in the region, man, with those quality players and get the little pieces that they're missing, or maybe they do have them, but maybe they are just not motivated as yet. If they can get that clicking, man, believe me, man, no team, no, most teams will struggle with the quality of what he can play, because I can tell you, man, what I saw him did with that Leeds team, it was getting a little bit scary, but because the results weren't coming at that rate, and obviously in the Premier League you don't have time. You get me? That's the thing. But if he can replicate anything like that, I am telling you, you guys will be surprised how good he turns this team
Mhm.
into.
No, there's a good, and I linked it in the short video that we have. But the coach's voice, he
Mm-hmm.
has a breakdown of what he did against Liverpool. I think it was when they played in the league when they beat Liverpool or Arsenal, one of the two. It was, I'm forgetting which one it was, but they beat them
He
2-1. He
plays better.
basically broke down.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he basically broke down.
he
So if you
plays
want that
very good
mentality,
against
it's
them.
there. And that's where the
Yes.
conversation that started, which is I think wingers, and I have Jaden Nelson here, who's there, who's having a good season where he's playing. I think a player like him might get more looks in terms of what he can do because he does play that winger, but he also can sub in that attacking. When he was at TFC, he started to play in that roaming middle eight role where the
Mm-hmm.
two Italians would play, and I think that type of a role would do him well. Right now, he's playing at Rosenborg, but I think he's the type of player, and then even a player like Thea Corbinu, who I'll throw up here in a minute. I think those two players could really benefit just because they are high energy, but then they also have that ability
Okay, Africans are in some freezing.
to
I
set
think he's
inside,
gonna.
create some opportunities.
You're freezing a little bit,
I think
Africans.
we're
Maybe you have
back.
to close on others. Yeah, you're back now. You're back. You're back.
Okay, yeah, I think if I have 18 tabs open, it's a day. It is a day right
Yes,
now, but
that's what I'm saying. Just close on some. Yeah.
but I think even a player like Theo, like it opens the window for Davies because I think Davies and Tajon, their best skill set isn't necessarily when they're on the ball, but it's when you get them off the ball because nothing puts more pressure on a defense than a player with that much pace who 2 steps behind you is already past you. And I think you get them with more players, which is why I think I've always been more of the nature of play him as a fullback, Alfonso. I know he wants to play up, but play him as a fullback
Hmm.
because him as an overlap is a very frightening thing to try to defend
Yeah.
based off the pace. His finishing isn't always clinical, I'll give you that, but
Yeah,
I
but
think
he
the pace
creates sound.
scares. Yeah.
He creates if you play him as a wide winger, as a winger, a wide man. I think and that's the problem. Unless you think that Jaden can get more out of his position than Alphonso Davis, than if you put Larry around there not playing. I think it's gonna. I will see what that man does with his team,
Oh, of
because if he
course.
can fix that problem without moving Alphonso Davis, I think you're gonna remain one of the top three teams. If he can fix it and you look defensively sound,
Mhm.
I Africans, I can tell you this man have some style of play. If he gets it
Yeah.
right, he's gonna suffocate big teams. Big
Yeah.
teams. America. So tactical, I've said it first. Pete, I've said it here. If this man get
See,
the
I
defense
mean,
right, you guys are going to be in problems.
I see. I'm just not looking forward to this me catching strays. Like, yeah, JD was on this channel over there. I'm gonna become this channel over there, JD, and I'm just like, ah, ah.
No, but we're talking about we're talking about
I
Canada, so
know, but so what,
can't
JD?
talk
You know how
over
this
it.
works.
You know?
It'll get
Yes.
clipped. It'll be like there was a colorful jersey guy, and then the bald Jamaican guy said some things, and I'll be like, "But what did I do? It's a colorful jersey. Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate that." Ugh. But no, I think if he, I mean, optimistically, if he gets it right, I think again, there's a lot. But then the question is, can you get the most out of those top players and really push the rest?
Yes.
And that's where I think giving, I think what can you get away with more? And again, nothing against those players, but could you get away with less up top if you put Davies further back? Yes, because I think you can still get your principles as a winger, get those out there. Worst case
Yep.
scenario, you move him up, you put a defender behind him, and you play. But I think if you put him back there, that to me just says green lights, and a lot of pressing, but then also the overlap option is great. But time will tell with Marsh. Like we said, we'll have to sit back and see. Time will ultimately tell where we are. We couldn't get the that is on me. We couldn't get the lineup set, so next time we will have that set up for you guys. I do apologize, but
Yeah.
we will go through there. But before we head out, because time is a beautiful thing, we do want to talk and touch base a little bit on the Summer Olympics. The men's side is finally finalized, which we're very much excited to see. And here I thought I had loaded it and I did not. So watch me load things. Wonderful. All right. So we have our groups finally set up. Group A is France, US, Guinea, New Zealand, Argentina, Morocco, Iraq, Ukraine, and Group B. Group C, Uzbekistan, Spain, Egypt, Dom Rep. Group D is Japan, Paraguay, Mali, Israel. Those are your four groups
For a
for
group, yeah.
this.
Okay.
Yes, Asians were the last one to go through. I know we can talk a little bit on the CONCACAF side because this is basically qualifiers from U20s 2 years ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we know what they were able to
So it's
do.
just
And
flat out U20s. Are
no,
not
this is
20.
you. No, because for what CONCACAF did, for those who weren't sure, the previous U20 tournament was a qualifier for the World Cup as well as
Yes.
a qualifier for the Olympics. So the top four made the World Cup, and then the top two made the Olympics,
Okay.
which
Okay.
I didn't like because you deprived us of another tournament that we could complain about pitches and players and who's going to represent who at what level. Um,
Yes. It's.
but based off that, we finally have all four teams, our four groups set up. Are there
Mm-hmm.
any groups that you're intrigued with? Because fair or not, Group A, hello.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy Guinea made it through
Argentina,
because
Morocco, Iraq, Ukraine. Okay. Yeah, that looks like a solid group.
it does look like a
I,
solid group.
all I do know is Group C or Group
Mm,
C. Okay, I missed the Group A: France, United States, Guinea, New Zealand.
yes.
Uh, I think France and United States will be the two battling out that. We have to give United States respect. They do turn up in these competitions, and France
Don't
is like
sleep.
the gods of youth football. To be honest, they will be coming. Yes, they will
No.
be coming, regardless of
Before
what you want to say. But
yeah,
all I know, Group C, Dam Rep is going to get one hell of a beating. And I'm very sorry for Africans.
there's
And
a lot of
yeah,
anger there, JD. There's a lot of anger.
Spain is, yes, Spain is going to beat the hell out of them. All right, Uzbekistan, um, they keep surprising me in Africans. And
Hmm.
I can't even jump to tell you that. I am sure if Damer is, I don't know if Damer will pick a point out of this thing. I don't know, because Egypt look like they can beat Damer, and Spain will beat the hell out of Damer. You can look at
Yes.
the easy well over 6, because I've seen what they're trying to do with the Spain squads. Throughout 17-23. And they look solid. I think they're going to cause problem right through. So yeah, how are you doing the predictions? Let me know.
I would say without. I think first group. I'm gonna go. You know what? I don't like how every time I make a prediction, people just assume I'm bad minding these teams or this. So I'm just gonna say it with my chest and move on.
Yes, yes,
And
go
you
ahead,
can
go
you
ahead.
can comment in the comments. Group A, I'm going France and Guinea. I think
Oh,
Guinea gets past the US
oh,
with points.
Jesus
I'm doing it.
God. All right, Africans. I don't know why you keep on wanting
I
to
have nothing to do
lose.
with the States, and that's what I saw with Guinea, JD, and it's everything I've seen with
So
Guinea.
Guinea is Guinea. No, United States is gonna beat Guinea. Beat
You
them
would,
right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I think they end up tied with points, and then there's a tiebreak that goes through. I think US and Guinea end up tied with points. I think
All
so.
right, African. You did it last time, and I showed you that.
And I was
Stop.
wrong, and I'll do it again.
Yes.
I'll do it again.
You can't. The third cycle not going to work. All right, you know what? I'm going to give it to you. All right,
JD, it's
Guinea. I am
seventh
still
time is
going
the
United
charm.
States, France,
Seventh
United States,
time.
France. Let me write them down of United States, France. All right.
JD, someone will clip me. I might, if people are going to be the other channel, I might as well do something. No, I do like Guinea. I think on paper you go France, United States, but I think I like Guinea getting through because Guinea can either show up and say we can play with anyone on this pitch, or they'll show up and just miss everything. Guinea is that team, so I'm hoping they can be the team that I know dominates at the youth level in Africa, and then when they get to the senior level, are starting to hit that stride. But I think it's not as in stone as it is here. It's not in pen. It's a pencil right here. So I'm going with Guinea and France because it'll basically be France. It'll be France versus France or Guinea versus Guinea, depending on how you want to look at it. Group B, Argentina, and I'm gonna go with Iraq because I feel like Iraq has these runs in them at this level. Their cycles come up every once, so I'm gonna go
Yeah.
Argentina and Iraq going out of Group B. But
Argentina,
don't sleep on
Ukraine.
Ukraine. Yeah,
Ukraine,
don't sleep on
Argentina,
Ukraine.
Ukraine. I am not. I would be surprised if it's Ukraine win the group.
There.
Yes, obviously I know that their country going through crisis, but their small teams ain't bad at all, and none of their teams ain't bad. You big team, none of them bad at all. I know that you want to catch in all the Asian and African teams them any chance you get, but it's not working.
JD, I
South
want to get to
American
Morocco,
Europe.
so easy.
Yeah, but you still try to patch out Ukraine, Yes, but it's
No, Ukraine is a good shout, and we'll agree to disagree there. Group C, I
yes.
think
Give
we
me
both have Spain going through,
yes,
and
and
I want to go Egypt, though Uzbekistan is a side that I'm like, you would do this to me, wouldn't you? So I'm gonna go with Spain and Egypt, but again, Uzbekistan
okay.
is that team that could come through.
I just know it, man. None of these predictions, Africans
JD?
that kind of say, "Oh yes, me and JD have the same prediction."
No,
He
no, we
has
will
to go.
not. I don't
It's
want the
okay.
crown, JD. I don't
No,
need
I,
it.
I I never said you needed the crown because obviously if you pick four other teams than what I've picked and I have the crown, you're gonna lose the crown every day, and you're gonna
I'm losing the crown. I'm not trying to win. Yes, so
yes.
make it make
So
sense.
let me see how you work with this now. Oh, this is the group that I
Yeah,
think is not normal because Paraguay is not a bad team.
no,
Israel maybe okay, but Mali, I think Mali is gonna be competitive as hell against
yeah.
Paraguay and Japan. I think Israel will get back out of all the games. I'm very sorry.
See,
Are you
Kevin,
giving Israel?
no, I'm not. Well, the thing is, Israel. This is based off of Israel had that deep run in the U20s,
Yes,
so you're bringing
yes.
a lot of those players in.
Jesus,
Um,
this is the group of it.
we can, yeah.
This
I think
one,
this. If
yes,
there's a group,
yeah.
yeah, death, life. There's too many options. I think my gut tells me Japan, Mali, like Kevin says, but I have this feeling, JD. I have this feeling it's going to be
Israel, Paraguay. Oh,
Israel. I have that
give me a little
feeling.
more time. Give me a little. I'm not gonna vote on this one because I
That's
need to keep
fine.
my cool. All right. Yes. Give me a little more time to do my research on every player on how they are performing before I can make my prediction. But this is the group of it. I am almost certain of this. Any one of these teams can qualify. I'm looking back on it. Maybe I would. Oh no! I'm not voting. Go ahead, but go ahead, Africans. Do
Pastor?
you?
Pastor
No,
JD.
no, no.
No.
Do
I have
do you?
hair. I have hair and I haven't preached yet. So relax. Pastor's prepping for his
Do
Sabbath service tomorrow. So when it comes to me, I'm going to go with this is tough. This is very tough.
Japan? You're gonna force Japan in it. Uh
I don't know if I want to.
yeah.
Japan,
I
this is a
think
much
I
more
think we should
favorable
do
group for
research.
them.
I think we should take
We
more
should
time
do,
on this
but
group.
but
Yeah.
based off of
No.
everything I've recently seen with no research, which is terrible research,
You're gonna say Japan and Mali.
I'm inclined to
But that
think
will be
that.
disrespect to Israel because they are performed
I
better
so
than most
I'm
of them
going to
in the last
go.
competition.
So I'm going to go Israel and Mali. I'm going to go Israel and Mali. And Kevin, I
Israel,
do agree with
oh my God,
I
oh my God.
JD. They don't have cycles, but when they're the Dos Equis guys. They don't play well. They don't play all the time, but when they get there, they usually have a good performance.
I am almost certain that Mali will cause problem, and that's why this group becomes the group of death. I need time. Kevin, I
No,
am not going to jump to predict. I
JD,
am
you have four
okay.
minutes. You have all the time in the world.
No, no.
Think about it.
We're gonna put it in the next week edition. So I'm very much educated on all of these teams in the group D. Yes, I am
No,
telling you,
mhm.
this is the group of death. This is the group of death, people. You're not gonna fool me for me to run to make prediction. Yes.
JD, it's
Bless
not like
us
I
to
clip
say.
these. It's okay. It's not like I clip these and put them out as
Ah,
shorts for the world to
let's
see. So you're
just
good. You're good.
no, you have some bad mind mans that walk around and take all information. Africans. I have to be careful. All right. I am not making a prediction. I know that it's four very good teams. I would say that Paraguay, Israel, maybe not coming in as hands-on favorites, and more people would swing to Mali and Japan. But a little more time, and I can give you an accurate one on that one, big boss. Oh Lord.
Oh, JD,
Oh, okay.
stand on. I stand on recklessness, a business of recklessness. That's what I stand on all the time because I pick
All
with
right,
my
so
heart, not logic.
but I just believe that the system for Mali system start derailing Japan style system now. Like I think Mali them have the advantage over Japan now because that technical ability that Japan had, the extra pace out wide really draw them out, and they can't get the triangle traps around the players them so
Yeah,
fast. And they get isolations, and Mali looks very good in that system. Israel, yeah. Let me just take my time. I'm gonna take my time. I am
we
not
will
going to
allow
vote.
him. We will allow
Yes,
him
I'm
to
not going to
abstain from
vote.
voting for today.
Yes,
But
yes.
I
I will.
think we'll
One more show.
one more show. He says one more
Yes.
show.
And I will have it. Believe me, one more show and I have it because I am looking at that. I am not fooling the people. You guys might think I'm an idiot, but believe me, that's why I've always gotten these results correct because I am watching and looking at patterns when it's changing. Yeah.
So to recap what I said, I went in Group A, France and Guinea, Group B, Argentina and Iraq, Group C, I went Spain and Egypt, and Group D, I went Mali and Israel. In my now, I'm gonna brand it so I can have it out later. In my way too early predictions for the Olympics, even though they
Mm-hmm.
are less than 100 days away. So in my So in my preview of the preview picks, this is what I'm saying. And in next month, I'll say I feel confident in this now. So this is what I've said now. Maybe I'll change my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and we will see what we can do there.
Yeah, because
But
I don't even know why you're investing in this one and it's so far away. You know how much competitions we have before this.
Copa, U20s,
Yes,
Olympic
are
women's.
you're just putting this out there for now to make people know that
Yeah.
you're going to be okay, okay, good, good.
Yes. How else will they know about JD on the other channel with the guy with the colorful shirts? Like,
Oh
what?
my
How else are they
God.
going to know? How
No,
else are they gonna know?
I just never knew. I just never knew, boss. Sorry.
No, no,
All right.
JD, JD, you're gonna get clipped, and I'll be like, I'm the guy with the headphones, the other guy, outlandish
No, no,
guy
no,
who
no, no, no.
apparently
No,
doesn't like certain
no.
countries,
You believe me,
allegedly.
you're turning into big stars. So I don't know why are you acting like it. I can't bother with you,
Never, never.
man.
I did leave.
Oh,
No, Kevin, that is true. I did leave Morocco out because, and that was a tough one because I feel like I've seen again. It's a different generation. But like we've seen Iraq have a deep run at the Olympics. It's a different generation. I understand. But I'm going on nostalgia of seeing them run through than that. But again, give me until next month where we see, and then we'll have a proper conversation about it where we can look at teams, go review them a little bit better and go from there. But we will leave it here because we are at the hour mark. And we appreciate everyone who came by. Thank you so much for your comments. If you're watching this on the rewatch, let us know what your thoughts are. Jesse Marsch is a coach for Canada. What are the interesting roster conversations for Canada? And then Olympics, way too early predictions. Let us know there because we want to know. And also, JD dodged Group D, so we're going to make sure that everyone put
Next
Group.
we're going to add it in it. I'm not going to forget about it, and we
Just
have
don't even
enough time.
predict any other group, guys. Just predict
Yes.
Group D.
Group,
Don't
yes,
even Group A, B, C.
group
No one
of death,
cares.
yes.
Group D.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll do that.
All
So,
right.
guys, next week Thursday, we're gonna get back to that Thursday schedule.
Thursday or normal days. But
Yes.
if we can always reschedule and stuff. But Thursday, people. All right.
Indeed. So, guys, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. And until next time, we simply say bye-bye for now.